And yeah, man, I think we're set up. I think we're ready to go, dude.
All right.
Oh yeah, welcome to Only Bombs, homie.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I'm glad to have you on because you're Argentinian.
It's Argentine or Argentinian. It can be both ways.
Okay, thank you for that. Oh, so Argentine, I guess, an Argentine comic. You know, which is really neat, man. What brings you to Austin?
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I do comedy back home in Argentina, but I do it in Spanish, and obviously it's very different to do it in Spanish and in English for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Not only the jokes are different, but also linguistically, the way that you structure jokes. In some languages, some words sound funnier than others, or because of how the language you structure a certain sentence, some words don't have to go at the end of the sentence, so that kind of changes the joke. But the main difference is that the comedic character changes, you know, because it's not the same how I'm perceived in Argentina as an Argentine person in comparison to the people that are there versus the people here in America, being a foreigner. A lot of differences, which we can get into that. But yeah, the main reason that I'm here is because, first of all, it is winter in Argentina, so I really don't like the cold, and so I try to escape it. But the main reason is that I wanted to come here and develop my comedy in English.
Oh man, that's really cool. And you're very well spoken in English. I don't know if I was expecting an accent.
You as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really awesome. Did they learn English down there, like right off the bat? Is that how you're so well spoken with it? Or
well, the main reason is that since I was little, I would always watch TV and movies and play cards in English. I would come home from school and watch at least 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours of American sitcoms like Seinfeld, Friends, 2.5 Men, Scrubs, all of those.
Yeah.
So between that, I had it at school, and then I've been working in English environments for a very long time. My first job was at Disney World. I was. Have you been to Disney World, to Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando.
Or, yeah, Kissimmee or wherever it is.
Yeah. So there's a ride called Jungle Cruise, which is like a skipper that runs the boat and does a humor spiel. That was my first job when I was 19. So I had to be on the mic. Yeah, it was amazing. So I had to be on the microphone a lot. And now I've been working in the cruise industry for over 11 years. I was a cruise director on cruise ships. So obviously it's a lot of being on the microphone and hosting. So between all those things, I kind of got used to it. And obviously now doing comedy even more. But I can talk like this if you want. Is that better for you? Yeah.
I mean, however you feel. Like,
no. The other way, I have to sort of think about how I would mispronounce the words. So for me to do this is more natural.
Man, that's really neat. I've always wanted to actually learn Spanish. You know, I feel like it's especially like where we're at, you know, in our, you know, country and everything, like in Texas and all. It's like there's a lot of people who speak Spanish, you know, and I love going to like Spanish speaking countries because I feel like that immersion is really good for, you know, like putting that out there, you know, like and just learning it better. So, but man, so you're in like a constant performer sort of state of mind with like, you know, being in Jungle Cruise and now being on like a bigger cruise and everything. And so that probably plays a big part in your comedy, right?
Yeah. I think it's kind of weird. You know, when things happen in your life that at the moment you don't see sort of the thread that goes through it, but then when you look back, you're like, oh, that kind of made sense that I did all those things and now I'm here, you know? Yeah. So when I was little, I would always be like, I wouldn't mind sort of making a ridicule myself and being on stage. I in the theater, I always liked that. And then, well, my first job, like I told you, was at the Jungle Cruise, so I had to sort of perform there. And then it was kind of crazy because I worked basically telling jokes on a fake cruise. Then I worked on cruises, and now I'm telling jokes as a comedian. And now eventually I will work as a comedian on cruise ships. So that will be kind of a full circle moment.
Amazing. Did you come up with your own jokes, or for the Jungle Cruise, for example, did you come up for your own jokes, or did they give you the jokes?
Right. So the Jungle Cruise is divided by scenes, basically. So the different scenes are the different places that the cruise goes through, and you see, you know, I don't know, there's a part where a car crashes and there's a rhino, and so there's 4 people trying to climb a tree so that the rhino doesn't get to them. And so Disney would give us alternatives of jokes for every scene.
Oh, okay.
And the delivery depended on you and your comedic character on the cruise. But also those were what are called the OG jokes, the official guide jokes.
Oh, okay.
Then there were non-official jokes that technically you weren't allowed to do, but you still did them anyway if you had the courage. For example, when I finished, I would often say, "Okay, if you like the Jungle Cruise, my name is Kevin. If not, it's Shaniqua, and thank you for coming." And so I did that many times, and then one day, one of the managers heard me, and she called me over and was like, "Kevin, I heard you say this. Like, maybe you can say another name." And I'm like, but Shaniqua is funny. And he's like, yeah, but maybe you can say like, George or Jack. I'm like, yeah, but I could be George or Jack. Like, that's not funny. He's like, yeah, but, which I knew what she meant,
Right, yeah.
But it was like, well, that's what's funny about it.
Yeah, you're just trying to come up with something funny. I get it, man.
Yeah.
I get it. So you started off like performing young, like as a young boy and everything in Argentina?
Yeah, I don't know if performing regularly, but I always loved theater. I went to theater for like a year approximately. I did any time that there was something to do, like being on stage or hosting or that kind of thing, I always didn't mind it. But honestly, I never thought I would be develop into being a comedian eventually. Wow. Although I've always loved comedy. Like even when I was young, I had Jerry Seinfeld Telling You for the Last Time on my iPod, and I think I listened to that set maybe like at least 20 times.
Oh yeah.
And I would, which is a very rare thing for like a 10-year-old kid from Argentina to have on his iPod. Yeah. Whereas the rest were listening to music. I was listening to stand-up over and over again, and I've always loved stand-up. And actually, I went to see Jerry Seinfeld a couple weeks ago. He played in Abilene, a couple hours from here, and it was a dream come true. It was amazing. Like wow. I almost cried when I saw him.
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Like, so he's got like new material and everything that he's just putting out there?
Some of the stuff I had heard from some talk shows and some of the stuff I hadn't. Right. But it's still amazing. I mean, not only because of even the material that I had already heard, it's still a pleasure because he's so good. Like he knows exactly everything, like the intonations, the movement, the like twists of the body, the stares, the pacing. Like he's such a like every single second is perfectly crafted. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did Jerry Seinfeld or like Friends, like that kind of humor, did that have an effect on the way that you write comedy now?
Yes, I think so. I'm still developing a comedic persona, I think. I mean, I'm only 2 years into comedy, so obviously that takes a long time. But definitely a lot of it's weird because even though I'm from Argentina and my native language is Spanish, my comedic instinct is way better in English because I've watched way more stand-up in English than in Spanish.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I've watched, I don't know, of all the stand-up that I've watched, at least I would say 95% is in English and 5% is in Spanish. So even though my native language is Spanish, I have a better grasp of comedy in English.
Oh, okay. Is there like cultural differences like in the way that you do comedy between like being in Argentina or being like in America? Like, do you have to hit like different, like, I guess, cultural significant things like differently? Yes,
there's a lot of things that are different. For example, here in, especially in Austin, if you say gay or retard, everybody laughs. In Argentina, that's not the case. If you say gay or retard, everybody's like, okay, what's fun about like, okay, you're gay, cool. Like in retard, don't say that. Like,
just don't say that.
Yeah. So that's how it would be in Argentina. There's many differences. First of all, like I was talking about before, my comedic persona is very different. One of the main reasons is that even if you say the same thing, it can be perceived in very different ways. For example, what I said before, that my first job was at Disney World. If I say that in Argentina, if I say that my first job was at Disney World, people are like, like he went to the US, he's kind of rich, like what's up with this guy? If I say it here, they're like, ooh, South American working minimum wage at Disney, poor guy, and it's exactly the same event and it's taken completely different ways, and that I can give you a million more examples. Wow. So that's very, very interesting, and that's what I said. The comedic persona changes completely. Perhaps in Argentina, I can be seen as a more hegemonic, character just because of the way I look, and here I'm kind of like just another white guy, so to speak. In terms of aspect,
Wow. Yeah, man, that's like, so did you start off in Argentina like doing like open mics and stuff like that? Or how did you like even start this comedic journey?
Okay, so actually, technically the first time that I did stand-up, so when I turned 33, I decided to do a family event for my birthday in which I said we should do a talent show.
Nice.
And so everybody had to participate. You could do it by yourself as a duo or a trio, but everybody had to participate. If no dessert for you.
Yeah, good
and so everybody had to do something artistic, right? And so there were a couple people that like danced or did a poem or did a game, whatever. For that, my talent was singing a song, but I was also the host of the event. And for that event, I created jokes, stand-up about my family.
Oh, nice.
And I really enjoyed that process. And I was like, and I always felt like I was kind of like, I didn't understand like how to structure a joke, but I felt like I had sort of a grasp because I'd done it in other aspects, working on ships and that kind of thing.
Right.
I said, okay, let's try it. And about a month later, I came to Austin for the first time. That was almost 2 years ago. And actually, the first time that I ever did stand-up for real was at the Sunset Strip here in Austin.
Oh, wow.
And, well, obviously, it didn't go very well, as most first-timers. There were 5 people in the audience, which... not real audience. It was 5 comedians.
Right. Yeah.
It was like a Tuesday at like 4:00 or something like that. Those
coffee and Java. And
yeah,
jokes
one of
or
those.
something.
One of those.
Yeah.
There were 5 people. 2 of them were sleeping.
No.
And when I say sleeping, I actually mean in horizontal position. Literally in horizontal position, sleeping. Now that I look back on it, they may have been homeless.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I totally believe it.
1 was on his phone and 2 seemed to be paying attention. And I had no idea how to structure a joke. Even though I had a lot of experience hosting, it's definitely not the same doing comedy. And I think the premise wasn't that bad. It's something that I would have to pick it up now. It's like the premise was basically like, how like white people, when they say hi to each other, it's like kind of awkward, because like one goes for the handshake, the other one goes for the fist bump. It's like we don't really know what to do. Yeah, but they change midair. It's so uncomfortable. But then black guys, like they just know exactly what to do. And like the premise was kind of like, are they practicing all day and like nobody knows about this? That was like along those lines. But again, no idea how to structure a joke. And that was one of many issues.
Yeah. So you're like basically you just picked up all the stuff that you saw. You just went and tried to throw it out there, just try to tell a story.
Yeah.
So when did you start learning how to actually joke right?
So after Austin, that was my first time. Then I came back to Argentina. I did it in Spanish for the first time. Obviously, it was also a train wreck. And then I started taking a course with a couple people. First with one that I didn't like, and then with a really good comedian, which I really enjoyed. And I started not only learning from other people, but also, watching videos and kind of practicing on my own. As you know, learning stand-up you can learn it from a variety of different ways, not only learning from other people, but watching other people, writing yourself, trying things on stage. So from a million ways, and that's what I have been doing and keep on doing. I have taken another course as well, like an advanced course on writing, and it definitely does help. But, at the end of the day, like there's nothing like you writing and you going on stage and just doing it,
Yeah. Well, what's your method? Do you sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, kind of like Seinfeld, and just turn everything off and just sit there and dedicate your time to writing, or do you just sort of see if something organically pops up?
So usually I take around a notebook, like a little little notebook, and write things down.
Sure.
And then put it on my phone so that it stays there forever. And usually from that idea or that observation, I start. Sometimes I actually write, like pen to paper, or sometimes I start pacing around the room and start to talk to myself. And I'm like, that could be something. And then when I feel like there's something there, I either like write it, like say it on a voice note with like transcription in English, so it like stays there on my phone, or then I put it on a computer, and then I try a couple things on stage, so it's kind of develops that way.
Yeah.
But I never write anything on the computer that I feel like is not a joke. Like if there's already a few jokes in there, I'm like, okay, let me just put it there and at least try it and see if they buy the premise, and if they buy the premise, then there's room to grow there,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you like to pull things from within your like observation in life, or do you like pull things from like within and personal experiences? Where do you get most of your jokes from?
Yeah, both. I try to create jokes about my life, but in a funny way.
Yeah.
And then a lot of observations, especially one of the things that I like about doing comedy here in the US is that I can do a lot of observations from the American culture, and especially in contrast with Argentinian culture, So like, I don't know, I have bits on like the homeless here, and how they're different to Argentina, because like in Argentina, we also have homeless, but they're not out of their fucking minds like here, and so like it's the comparison of them both.
Wow.
That's just one example, and then also a lot of things that are kind of relevant here but not in Argentina, like the black differences between black people and white people, that kind of thing, which we don't have really that in Argentina, but here it's very prevalent. And since it's kind of weird because I'm from Argentina, but I've watched a lot of TV and a lot of content from the US, and so I kind of have this like understanding of American culture, but from an outsider perspective,
Sure.
And so that really kind of allows me to like see like where the strings are being pulled, and kind of like, if I say that, then I think they'll like that, so.
Oh yeah, I love hearing different comedians from different countries. I love hearing them come in and just say, just stuff that they think is absolutely like wild or baffling about just American culture and stuff. Is there something that stood out to you? I guess maybe besides like the homelessness, is there something that like kind of stood out to you as like, oh, this is fucking weird in America?
It's a lot of things. I do think that in general, people here are very obsessed with like the ethnicity of people. When you fill out a form and they tell you like, are you white? Are you Latino? Are you this? Like nobody else does that around the world. Nobody. Like, why would I? It's just me, my face. Like, what do you care?
Right.
That's one thing. And then another thing, I haven't developed a bit on that, but the tipping here is insane.
Tipping. So how is it insane? How is it different?
Well, I mean, here, like for people that hand you like a coffee, they don't even go to your table. They give you the option to tip like 18%, 20%, 25%. That's their job. What are we doing? Yeah. In Argentina, that's not even a possibility. Like nobody does that. We don't have those tablets where like you turn around and then the customer selects the tip. We don't have that. And even if they come to your table, it's never more than like 10%, 15% if it was amazing. But yeah, I think it's too much sometimes.
Do they like for things like that though? I think in Argentina at least other countries that I've been to, they actually pay them like really well to do those jobs, right?
I don't know if really well, but I don't know. I feel like it's crazy that we're being charged 25%.
Yeah.
Maybe I sound really cheap saying that. And I know it's part of their salary and everything, but for me, coming from another country, and think I'm from Argentina, we have 10%. Think other countries like Japan, for example, they don't even tip.
Right.
So I went to Japan. I'm actually going there again soon. And when I was in Japan, I really understood why they don't tip. I think, from my observation, they don't tip because great service is not optional.
Wow. That's good.
So it's not like, oh, well, if I gave you a good service, then like you deserve, just for you being here, you're a customer and you deserve good service. And you don't have to give me anything other than that because that's what you deserve for being a customer,
Yeah, that whole tipping thing, I didn't realize that either until like I started visiting like other countries and I went to Europe, for example.
Right.
Like they told me, they were like, no, we don't need it.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can, but we don't need it, And yeah, that was something I had to like wrap my head around because here, like I was a waiter here before and you'd like bust your ass, but you're only making $2 an hour because you rely on your tips, But it's just like that here. Like if you make tips, then you're going to make less to compensate for the tips. I don't know why it's
Sometimes,
like that. I feel like it needs to be like more.
Yeah. Yeah. In Argentina, like you have I wouldn't say it's a good salary, but at least like you don't depend on the tips to make it to a good salary. Like it's like standard, but at least it's something.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So like, what like, did you go to college or anything like that? Like for like comedy, or not comedy, but like performance at all, or did you like? Did you just basically just fall right into it, man? Was it just something that your natural personality brought out?
So I went to university, but nothing related to comedy or performance. I studied communications and marketing, advertising/marketing. So nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But the main reason is that I've been working in the cruise industry for a long time. I worked on board for 8 years. I still work in the industry, but in another fashion. Basically, I have a talent agency now, so I represent artists for the cruise industry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
But besides that, I worked on board for 8 years in the entertainment department. I started as assistant cruise director / DJ, and so I would host all the events throughout the day and DJ at night. And then I worked my way up and ended up being a cruise director, which is basically the head of the ship experience. That's the face and the voice, the person that does the announcements, introduces the shows, does the main activities, that kind of thing. And so obviously there's a lot of hosting involved and a lot of being around people. You also have to be quick on your feet sometimes when you're on stage. Yeah. Sometimes for some specific reasons, I had to write some jokes for like specific situations. And so I think that really helped. And eventually then, like when I transitioned into comedy, it wasn't like, what is this thing about being on a stage and holding a microphone? I was very used to that. A lot of people, when they start comedy, their first hurdle is to get over that. Right. And again, it's definitely not the same to host something on a cruise than to do comedy, but there are some things in common. And I really think that has helped me sort of like advance faster in that process.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like crazy on a cruise ship? Like just some wild, crazy shit? Or is it just like such a common occurrence that you're like, yeah, I saw some stuff. It's no big deal.
I don't know what you call crazy. Probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me on a cruise ship is I got stuck on a ship when COVID was happening.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa. Were you like quarantined on the ship for like months?
Pretty much, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. At that time, if you were watching the news and you saw stranded cruise ship is whatever, I was one of those. So yeah, I
could relate. I was in the Navy for a while. And I did like a 6-month deployment, and there was like 62 days that we were out to sea with no port, nothing like that, and it was just work every single day. It was so that's kind of like the way that I sort of commiserate with you. Was it kind of like that? You still had to go to work, you still had to operate?
Yes, it was very different because we had guests on board still.
Yeah.
It's not that we were able to disembark all the guests and only crew were on board. And so we still had to take care of the guests. And so that meant that every guest, basically it wasn't long story, but basically it was an announcement one day from the captain saying we are receiving a lot of people that are reporting flu-like symptoms. Mm-hmm. At that time, obviously, there were no tests or anything on board. Wow. And he said, for that reason, I have to ask you, everyone, to go to your rooms and stay there until further notice.
Wow.
And so obviously that changed the dynamic of the cruise. It wasn't a cruise anymore. It was kind of like a humanitarian situation.
Yeah.
Because you have to think that it's definitely not the same operation for people to go outside of the rooms and have their meals at different restaurants throughout the day than to take food to 1,400 different people, 3 meals a day, every single day, while at the same time the crew members were falling ill. And obviously the cruise ship feeds itself. So you either can give service or you need service. And if you're isolated, there's one less person that can give service and one more person that needs service. And so at one point of the 600 crew, there were 350 that were isolated. So that means, 250 that were isolated, so 350 had to give service to about 1,700 people.
Oh my word.
Whilst everything else was going on in the world with the worries of like what's happening in my country, with my family, with my relatives. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy situation. Eventually, people ended up dying on board. Wow. Trump was talking about our ship. Like I was on the ship watching my TV, and Trump was talking about our ship. I was talking to my family, and it was like, or people were hitting me up, and they were like, "Is this you? Like, are you on the ship?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
Can I ask what ship it was?
Yeah, it was Holland America. That's the cruise company, and the ship is called ZAANDAM. ZAANDAM.
Man, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you had people like dying on board and everything.
Yeah. Even, again, it's a super long story. We had another ship that came from the company, and we were able to disembark some of our guests on that ship. But the people that remained on board had the idea that they were going to die. Basically, if they remained on board, they were going to die. Everybody's jobs changed because, there was no reason for me to go on stage because there was nobody there at the theater. Right. So it
feels just like Austin, I guess.
yeah, pretty much like an open mic. And so I was delivering, beverages and that kind of thing. I was picking up phones. One day I picked up the phone and somebody was like, "Oh, can I talk to the psychologist? Because my brother died yesterday." I was like, what the hell? I mean, I signed up to do like entertain people, and I'm doing the exact opposite. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. Then when we got into Fort Lauderdale, eventually we disembarked our guests. There were helicopters all around us. The Coast Guard was waiting for us with big guns. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow, that sounds absolutely like nightmarish.
Yeah.
How long were you out, you think?
So the crew started on March 7th in Buenos Aires. Then everything shut down and started to get weird on March 15th. And then the captain made the announcement that everybody had to go to the rooms on March 22nd. And then we eventually got to Florida. I think it was April 4th, and it took us 5 days to disembark everybody. But that's disembark the guests. Then the crew members had to stay on board. We did a 14-day quarantine on board. Then we were transferred to different ships because it was hard to get really long flights, but it was easier to get shorter flights. And so what the company did is they took some of their ships and they went to different hubs around the world. So one ship went to India, another ship went to South Africa, another one went to Germany, et cetera, and so that the crew members could disembark. And so I got transferred to another ship. I went to Netherlands. I wasn't able to disembark there. I was transferred to another ship. So anyway, basically, since I wasn't able to step on land for 70 days.
70 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Sorry about the dogs. Man, they go crazy sometimes. They
got excited with the stories.
Yeah, they get excited with stories. They also like the squirrels out there. We got like a bird feeder, and so the squirrels jump on the bird feeder and then they go ape shit for some reason. Like nice. I don't know if they're like, get off that, you're not a bird. Like I don't know. But so have you done comedy in multiple like countries throughout the world?
Not that many. I've done it in Argentina, Colombia, and then in the US I've only done it in Miami and here in Austin.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Man, so like do you have to switch gears with every little place? Like have you kind of just figured out like, okay, cool, and like in Florida, they're not gonna respond well to this. I'm gonna have to switch here, and then if I go to Colombia, I'm gonna have to switch here, and then Argentina switch. For sure.
Everything is different. Like I said, it's not even the language. I mean, think about the fact that I've done comedy in Argentina in Spanish, in Argentina in English, here in America in Spanish, and in English. So that's 4 different things. And you might say, well, it's pretty much the same. Not at all. I mean, you have to understand how people look at you. Obviously, the people are not going to have, the audience is not going to have the same knowledge of you as an Argentinian being in Miami, where there's way more Argentinians, and maybe there's even Argentinians in the crowd. We're here where nobody knows a thing about Argentina. In Colombia, where there's other stereotypes or other things that people think about Argentina. So it's completely different. Every place you go to, it's so different.
Oh man, you see, like I really can't even. It's almost like it's almost difficult to like put together where like the mind frame that you're in for that kind of stuff. Because I'm still trying to figure out just my voice, just I guess like period, in comedy and what that means to kind of like develop your voice. And it seems like you're going to all these places and you kind of. Like it's like you reading the crowd, like what you got to do to switch it up and everything. Was there like any important lessons that you just kind of learned that was sort of like, okay, this is valuable. I need to hold on to this.
I mean, I think every performance gives you that, but there were some things, for example, recently, since we're talking about bombing on this podcast. And so I think probably one of my worst experiences happened like a couple weeks ago where like, I know with the like racial thing, it's a big thing here in America. And obviously I would never say the N-word in public or on stage, anything like that. And I didn't,
right.
But I made a joke, talking about my accents, as in like, like sometimes, because I joke around, I have different accents, so sometimes it's like good to go full American, or sometimes if I'm flirting with an American girl, I have to go more Antonio Banderas, so like that kind of thing, And so I made a joke like sometimes I go full American, blah, blah, but sometimes if I say the N-word, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know, English very difficult. And so like there was a situation like that where like somebody got upset, and I was like, I get it, like I even though it's clear that I'm joking, maybe some people are like, who is this Argentinian guy like talking about like even like pretending to say the N-word, you know?
Oh,
and
yeah.
so there were a couple situations like that where I was like, for me, it's kind of a lighter thing because I'm from Argentina and it's not such a big issue there. But a couple times that happened, I was like, yeah, man, maybe I shouldn't even like open up that Pandora's box. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah. Did you try to go to Kill Tony?
Yeah, signed up many times. I think like 7 times. But unfortunately, I didn't get pulled, and I'm leaving on Monday. So.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's hard to get on there. I know some people have been trying to get on for like years, and they still haven't been able to get on.
Yeah.
You know. What do you know if anybody in Argentina has like a perspective on Kill Tony? Like if any other comedians in Argentina like have a perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people watch it for sure. It's been very interesting to see sort of the backside of Kill Tony in the sense of where you sign up and where the comedians wait and the watch party and all the people that perform there once, and then you see them live. Because, you know, when you see it from other countries, you don't really know if these people live in Austin or how they are outside of it or what their other material is. A lot of things, you know. And even talking to some people that have done well on Kill Tony or even are golden ticket winners and hearing how their lives have changed, but also how they still have to be on a grind. And it's not just like, it's like the end of something, but also the start of something. And it's not like just because you have a golden ticket, everybody will like fall on your feet. So it's been very interesting. I've learned a lot. I think one of the main things that I've learned by being here is just because you have such great talent here and you have access to seeing world-class comedians every night and just watching them, first of all, it makes you feel like a piece of shit in terms of your own comedy.
Oh, yeah.
But still, just watching them and being like, right, like seeing what they do, and it's like, you know, it's interesting sometimes because they say something and I like write things down on my notebook, but not because I like want to copy a joke, just because whatever one person said something and then another person said something, and you know when like your mind just like makes a connection, it's like, oh, I could talk about that in Argentina, you know. It's like I don't know, like different things that people said, and then all of a sudden I thought to myself, oh, I could talk about like how like there was a war between Argentina and England in 1982. And so like I could talk about that, you know, like there was no like connection there, but I don't know, just seeing people all the time makes you like, it kind of like expands your comedy horizon, you know?
Oh yeah. Man, that's, I think what's really, really cool about what you're doing is also connecting sort of like an Argentina social media thing and an American thing, because you told me that you're a fan of Marcus Monroe, and you kind of do the Argentinian version of the subway kind of thing,
right?
You know, and I love that. I love your different take on it, because you kind of have this sort of like, I guess like the corny sort of jokes, you know. And so what got you starting to do that?
Right. Yeah, so basically I was inspired by Marcus Monroe, who does that in the subway in New York. Yeah. And I felt like I could do that. And first of all, it's a very interesting exercise just to come up with a character and say, okay, and I have to create 10, 15 jokes about it, which sometimes feels like there's no way. I don't know, you see a pharaoh and you're like, what? Like, what jokes are there about a pharaoh? Or you say, you know, like a crab, and it's like, what jokes am I going to create about a crab? And then they come, they really do. It's pretty amazing. So that's a really good exercise. Also, it's a very good exercise to do that on the subway, in the sense that a big part of comedy is like not trying to break your character in a way and be unfazed, no matter what the reaction is. And so that definitely develops that. And yeah, so, and it's kind of weird also because like I've grown a lot in terms of my followers. Like less than a year ago, I had like 1,000 and now I have 40,000, you know, so it's grown a lot. Yeah. But it's weird because what I do on my stand-up is very little related to what I do on the subway. And so people watch me on the subway and they think that I have a show in which it's all corny jokes, and it's not at all like that. Mainly because if you hear corny jokes for more than 3 minutes, you want to kill yourself and kill the comedian. And so I don't think that's a very good idea for a long form show. So, and on my comedy, I actually like sometimes to tackle topics that are kind of uncomfortable. You know, I think one of the things that I'd like to really develop in Argentina is that, and we're talking about the differences between stand-up in Argentina and in America. I think one of the main differences is that comedy in Argentina is still like nice, you know?
Oh, okay.
People usually don't bring up these like touchy subjects, you know, like a Jeff Dye, for example, you know, like people don't do that there. And And so in Argentina, there's always the people need to like understand how you feel about it, you know, and it has to be more real. Whereas here in America, I feel like there's a higher appreciation for just jokes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's say what Pat O'Neill does, you know, like they're amazing jokes, but we don't really know what he's feeling. You know, most of the things that he says are not true. You know, I was dating someone, I have a daughter, they're not true. You know, that doesn't mean that it's not great. It's like, it's amazing what he does. I think they're great jokes. But in Argentina, if you do those kinds of jokes, people are going to be like, yeah, but that's not the real you know? So like, do you have a daughter? Oh, you don't. Then what's the point of the joke? You know? So that's a big, so that's a big difference. So yeah, in Argentina, there's not a lot of people who talk about like touchy subjects, and that's one of the things that I want to sort of develop and maybe try to change. Because anytime you bring up something that can be controversial, it's like, oh no, but hear me out. You know, it's kind of like you have to like save the crowd before they even turn on you. And here, a lot of people are like, well, this is my side, like this is my story, and that's how I feel. And
yeah,
if it's funny, it's funny. You know.
Why do you think that is? Like.
I think one of the reasons is that in terms of the art form itself, there's less years in which comedy has been a thing in Argentina than in the US, so that could be a possibility.
Maybe, yeah.
For example, if you listen to, do you know a Brazilian comedian called Rafi Bastos?
No.
Okay.
No, but I'd love to look him up though.
So he's a Brazilian comedian, and he now moved to, like a few years ago, moved to the US, and he's really big in Brazil and now in the US. And he said in one interview that when he started to do stand-up in Brazil, they would have to go before the show started to the audience and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. Like, there's going to be a guy on a microphone telling jokes, because people didn't know. People saw a guy talking on the microphone. They were like, is this a speech, or like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
And that really goes to shit. That wasn't that long ago. That was like 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Right.
Whereas here, that's been a way bigger thing, you know? So I think that could be a possibility, that it's still, you know, kind of like fresh and new in Argentina. And like I said, I think it's also just like the idiosyncrasy in Argentina. It's more like, okay, we need to like this guy, which is the same here, but in the sense of like, we need to know how he feels, and has to be like a man of the people and blah, blah, blah. And here in America, there's more like of these like controversial characters in stand-up, you know?
Oh, okay. So do you think that you, as a comedian, sort of more yeah, you kind of hit on the, you know, the kind of deep stuff, but you also like don't go that deep. You kind of like sit in the truth, but you also make jokes around that. Is that safe to say? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. It's not about like, at the end it has to be funny, so it's not about convincing people of an idea.
Right.
I'd like to develop my stand-up to talk about subjects or topics that in Argentina they're not that common because they're taboo, or because it's not okay to talk about those things. But if you can get over that and talk about, like, I don't know, like a few months ago, I did a bit that I really liked about like school shootings in Argentina, you know, because we had some school shootings in Argentina, which we never do, you know. That's more of an American thing, you know. And I started to say, like, have you noticed how how we're looking more like America, you know, because of the different things, and there's more school shootings. And I said, like, I definitely prefer to be, I don't want to be America. I prefer to be Argentinian because of a number of reasons. Because like kids are way fatter in America, so if you want to shoot somebody, you're gonna aim, like, you're gonna score, you know, because they're fatter. But in Argentina, they're all so thin, so like it's really hard to hit somebody. Like, I don't know, those kinds of jokes, you know. And it's a really touchy subject, and I really enjoyed doing that. And I felt like, oh, there's ways to talk about things that are touchy, but you know, make them funny. Yeah,
I heard a quote once. Now, of course, because I'm wanting to tell you the quote, I forget who said the quote, but it was laughter is the same in every language. And you know, I always thought about that because, you know, like, I think one of the things that excited me about having you on was that, you know, I'm like, oh man, you've done it, and you know, in another country. And I've never had anybody on who has done that before, you know. And I think the cultural differences, you know, I think is the most interesting thing to hear about, especially like when it comes to comedy. You know, I've been to, you know, a plethora of other countries before, being from the Navy and just traveling and stuff. And I kind of learned a lot of like cultural things that sort of taught me, you know, just like, oh, okay, well, they do things different here that I love. You know what I mean? Is there anything that like that you love about just, you know, coming to America? Is there something like, you know, on the flip side of that, like, you know, like, is there something that you're like, oh man, like you got to go to America, you got to try this.
A lot of things. I mean, the amount of opportunities here to see comedians is way higher than in Argentina.
Yeah.
For example, in Argentina, we have 2 comedy clubs, which are not that big. One comedy club is like 30 people. Another one is like 100 people or 120 people. A couple of theaters, and that's it. That's in Buenos Aires. And then if you want to tour around the rest of the country, you need to sell out theaters and you need to have your own following and you need to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's not like here where every single city pretty much medium and upwards has at least 3-4 comedy clubs. Some have 8 or 9 or 10. And you see really good comedians all the time. So that's a big plus for sure, just to see that quality of talent every single night.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Being in Austin, it's like you kind of feel like sort of spoiled in a way. It's like there's always somebody.
It's crazy.
There's always somebody. If there's anybody that you could see, like if you had the opportunity to see like somebody tonight, anybody you could see.
Well, coincidentally, I'm going tonight to the Comedy Mothership, and I have a ticket to see Brian Holtzman and Friends.
Oh yeah,
I saw him in one show recently, and he's so funny. He's so good. Like, I don't know, it's like the character is like the crazy guy who makes a good point.
Right.
That's kind of his character. That he's like talking, and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And then 2 minutes later, he's like, oh, it doesn't make a good point. Like that. That's kind of his character, and he's so like everything he does, like just like the hand gestures, the fidgeting, the like stepping on his toes, the like grabbing the microphone, the stares, everything is so like on point. So it's such a pleasure to see him. And I've seen some other amazing comedians. Like I said, I watched Jerry Seinfeld, Ari Mati, which he's the beast.
Oh yeah.
Peyton Roddy, Joe Rogan, Brian Simpson. I mean, I saw so many good ones. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. Like, I used to go to Joe Rogan had this weekly show, this Joe Rogan and Friends. Mm-hmm. And especially when I was like, before I got up on stage for the first time to do stand-up, I really wanted to study it. And so while he was doing that, I kept going to Joe Rogan and Friends because he would have like the best people. I saw Shane Gillis multiple times, Ron White,
right.
And seeing those guys and then being like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like getting up there, you're like, oh shit, this isn't working, dude. I'm not making it. I had to learn the joke structure.
Right.
That it's kind of like a magic trick.
Yes, and also there's no. I always tell people, like, I think comedy is one of the hardest art forms because it's not like, besides the fact that you have to act and remember and perform and blah, blah, there's no script. It's not like you're an actor and it's like, okay, this is your script, these are your words, this is what you're gonna say, you're in a situation where this is happening, this other person is here. No, it's like you go on stage and it's a completely blank canvas and you can like do whatever you want, and the only way to paint that canvas is to like look within and do it a million times over and over again and try a million things. And so when you see somebody that's been doing it for 10, 15 years, obviously it's easy to say like, I can never do that, but at the end of the day, it's the same. Like I always tell people, like, comedy is not easy, but it is simple in the sense that you have the opportunity. Like there's open mics. There's pretty much no other disciplines where you have that possibility,
Right.
Where there's like open mics and you just go and you just do it. Obviously it's a lot of work. Obviously it's like nights of pain and waiting around and like feeling like you're useless and whatever. But I don't know, if you want to be a DJ, for example, there's no open mics for DJs. You can't go 1 hour, certainly not a few minutes, but an hour to a club and play. There's no such thing. And that's pretty much for every artistic discipline. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the path is there. It's a long and arduous and painful path, but if you want to do it, it's there,
It really is. Like I've been humbled many, 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 many times. I guess because I was kind of like one of those people. I don't know if you were the same way. Like I was a class clown in school,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd always just joke around and stuff. And I thought, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to walk on stage and dominate.
Yeah.
And then I get up there and I was like, oh shit, this isn't even anything like I ever experienced in my life. It was very humbling, but then it became like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
And obviously you did too. Like, as your following got bigger on the subway thing,
Mm-hmm.
I know we're kind of going back to what we were talking about. It just popped in my head.
Yeah,
but as your following got bigger, did anybody start recognizing you on the subway?
Yes, on the subway, yeah. Usually every time that I go, there's at least like 2, 3 people that recognize me. Some of the people that sell stuff on the subway, which are, they spend more time on the subway, they recognize me sometimes.
Sure.
But even some of the people, some of the passengers, sometimes they say, "Oh, I follow you, I like your stuff, whatever." So yeah, little by little.
Does that affect? Because I know your stuff is that's another thing I love about your stuff is that like you'll tell the joke, you hit the punchline, and then zoom in on the people who are like literally like
yeah
like just on their phones, just chilling. I love that too. It's like so if you have somebody who like recognizes you, does it affect your performance at all?
Usually I don't find out about that until the end because what I do is the people that laughed, I usually give them like a little sticker that has my social media so they can follow me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's neat, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And so usually like if I give it to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I already follow you." Okay. And then sometimes there's people who see me, or I mean, it's hard to miss it. You see somebody dressed as a tennis player or as a pharaoh or whatever, you see that something weird's going to happen. So yeah, sometimes that happens, but like I said, I mean, even though that's a fun activity and it's fun to put that together, my main focus is the stand-up, and that's where I want people to recognize me more.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, it's really great. How do you come up with your ideas to like who are you going to be like today? Like how do you come up with those? Is it just like random or?
It's a combination of things. First of all, it has to be something that people can identify quickly, because if it's like a character, because I don't know, like one of the main differences that I feel with like Marcus Monroe's videos is that he sometimes does like his performances are more for the video than the people there. Mm-hmm. Because maybe the people are not recognizing the character that he's doing, especially if it's like a person,
Yeah.
But I go more like in the center of the subway, where like people are really close to me, and I kind of want the people to recognize me, what I am. And so it has to be something that is easily recognizable. And also I personally like when objects do comedy. Like it's not just like a tennis player, but it's like, I don't know, I bought a couple costumes since I've been here. Like I bought a dishwasher costume, or like a hot dog costume, or like a pencil costume, So like I think it's funny when objects do stand up. So like before I left, I did the World Cup. I dressed up as the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. And so the FIFA World Cup does stand up. I thought that was funny. So yeah, I mean, endless possibilities. But yeah, it really depends on a million things.
Were you going for Spain?
Oh, I'm from Argentina, so
yeah.
Argentina was the other.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not
the
a
final was
guy.
Argentina versus Spain, so I was going for Argentina definitely.
So I didn't know anything about like the World Cup, right? And I was at the time I was in Switzerland, and so in Switzerland it was really big where we were at, like to not like honk horns or anything like that. Like just don't do it. It's not looked at well, And it was 1:00 in the morning, and then everyone in the city is honking their horns. And I thought like, some shit was about to go down. Mm-hmm. Never experienced nothing like that. It was because of Spain.
Right.
But no, I'm even sorry to ask that. Were you going for Spain? Because I didn't realize that Argentina was the other.
It's okay. I've moved past it. It was very emotional, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, the way that soccer, or football as we call it in Argentina, in South America, but especially in Argentina, how it's lived, it's like you think you're fans of a team here, you don't know anything. I mean, the people are crazy in South America. I can't explain how crazy people are. I can give you a million examples. For example, this World Cup, the previous one, Argentina was playing the final also. And there was a guy that was running late to watch the final. So instead of taking the subway or an Uber, he took the bus, kidnapped the bus, and drove it himself to his own house.
No, you were right, dude.
Yeah.
Well, so what is that? Why is like? Because it seems like the rest of the world is so big on it, but I don't understand it. Like me I'm just not a sports guy. What is it about? What is it, man?
Well, I don't know. It's the sport that most people around the world like. It's just that there's a lot of passion involved, and I have a theory, which is that I think one of the main reasons that Argentines are so crazy about football is that at some point in our lives, no matter if you're men or women, at some point in our lives, we had, even if it's for a tiny fraction of a second, we had a dream of like scoring a goal for Argentina in the final of the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
Like maybe while we were sleeping or while we were playing during recess at our schools or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really ingrained in ourselves, and that's why everybody loves it. And as you know, like football or any sport can bring great joys to a crowd of people, of a nation, and so that's definitely true in Argentina. I mean, when Argentina plays, it's not just a sporting event; it's a social event because everyone watches. Nobody's on the streets. Everybody's together at a bar or at home, and it's like a big event. If you're working at an office, for example, and Argentina is playing, there's no way you're gonna keep working. Like it's common sense that nobody works when Argentina is playing. You turn on the TV, and if they don't let you do that, you would quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like culturally accepted that this is how it's going to happen. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost like not just a game. It's like
It's more than a game. It's almost a religion in a certain way. In fact, I don't know if you know a player called Diego Maradona.
no.
Okay. So basically, top 3 players in the history of the sport. He's from Argentina. He was very, like in the 80s, he was playing.
Oh, incredible.
And so he's very famous in Argentina. And there's actually a religion that is called the Maradonian Church that attracts approximately 120 to 200,000 people.
No way.
For real.
Wow.
His autobiography is the Bible.
Wow, dude.
Those who hurt him are the apostles.
Yeah.
And the new year starts on his birthday, October 30th.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is just centered around his playing.
Yeah, if you look, there's people that get married under the Maradonian Church. Some people get married in the stadium, one of the stadiums that he used to play.
Yeah.
If not, there's like a little, like imagine like the same as it would be like a regular Catholic wedding, but replace a crucifix with a ball. And that's how they get married, and that's how they actually get together. Like people get together on the new year and they start to sing. Like right now we're like in 65 AD after Diego was his first name.
Dude, that is great.
Yeah.
That is crazy though, man. Yeah. Like I don't know what it was in my life that just kind of kept me separated from sports. I never really understood it. But like I said, it wasn't until I left the country. The first time I ever did that was I went to Germany, and it was really big there too. And it was I was like, man, I think I was so captivated by watching the arenas, and as the game is playing, the whole crowd is like singing or like cheering or doing something to like disrupt,
right?
Like trying to be really, really loud or something like that to disrupt them. I'm just like, it's like everybody's playing. Like everyone is playing.
Yeah.
Like it's not just the players.
Yeah, in fact, so football at this level is played 11 versus 11. And some of the fans in Argentina, like what we call the hinchada, which is like the group of fans from certain teams, have names. And one of the names of one team is called La Doce. Doce means 12 in Spanish, and that refers to them being the 12th player on the pitch because football is played 11 versus 11, and they're the 12th player on the pitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang, man. No, that's all that is just nuts. I feel like it's like one of those things like I would love to get into it, but I don't know anything about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know the positions or something. Like I know goalie,
right?
But it's just being like so like out of touch with sports, But it seems like if I was to get in one, I probably would like to get into it,
right?
But so that must be also kind of weird when you come to America and you're like, okay, soccer as we call it is so low,
yeah,
and then we call football like a sport where it's completely played with hands.
I know, ridiculous. Yeah, and when I came here, like everybody, I actually had a joke during the World Cup, which was like, I've heard a lot of people talking about the World Cup. I've heard a lot of people making jokes about the World Cup, and every World Cup joke has the same punchline. soccer is gay. And it's everybody's like that, like soccer is gay. That sport is gay. It's like, okay, that's all you have to say about it. Basically, I think people say it's gay because you're not good at it, so that's why you say it's gay.
It's a lot of running. I know that. Right. I did like a kind of radio show with the coach of the soccer team, like way back in like 2004, and he was telling me as a warm up they ran 7 miles. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. You don't realize that the pitch is enormous.
Yeah.
Imagine if you like are in attack and you lose the ball, you have to do like 150 feet back sprinting and then start the other way. It's crazy. It's a lot of running. These players, like the minimum they can run in one match is like 7, 8, well, it's like 5 miles, let's say.
Yeah.
The minimum they can run plus the like, you know, bumping into other people and sliding and like sprinting and the changing of pace. It's crazy.
Yeah, and what I love too is like when everybody like the highlights, because every now and again I come across like some really awesome highlights. Like I think I saw the winning goal of the World Cup, and I was like, okay, that was pretty crazy, you know. But I can appreciate good highlights in sports and stuff. But when you see it, man, it's like everybody starts going crazy, like when they're at the goals. And I've never even been to a game.
Oh, you should have. It was amazing. I went to one match here in Dallas. Argentina played against Jordan, and that was amazing. Not only because the scenario is amazing just to be in the World Cup, and Americans are really good at marketing, so they had really nailed all the music and like the pre-show feeling, you know, when the event is about to start, that you feel pumped. But also the stadium, it's where the Dallas Cowboys play.
Oh, okay.
That stadium is ridiculous. Like, I know you guys are used to it, but I mean, it's a covered stadium where it's a ground level. So when you walk in, it's kind of like a mall where you walk in and you take 10 steps and you see the pitch, and everything is, most of the stands are below. So it's not like you go up as in like in most stadiums, you know, where you like enter a ground level and you have to go up.
Yeah.
And yeah, the view is amazing. And it was AC. I mean, that's crazy. We don't have any of that in Argentina.
No, there's none of that?
Yeah. Like a covered stadium? No.
Wow. Yeah, dude, the way it always looks like on TV is that there's just massive, like it's just massive, you know, like I guess I always assume, I'm like, wow, they're well taken care of, you know, with AC and all that stuff, but it's not like that in the rest of the world.
Not at all.
Yeah. When I went to, it was the same thing when I went to Peru. And I had to get used to it. Peru and then Italy, France, all of them, no AC. Like I had to get used to that. Man, have you like it's cold? I know it's cold in here right now. Like, you know, do you guys have AC?
Yeah. We have AC, but it's not the same to have AC in your house than to have a covered stadium with like 800 million air AC vents and that kind of thing. That's a very different thing. I actually saw a tweet yesterday. I don't know if it's true, that because of the heat wave in France, there's been like 7,000 deaths or something like that. But gun violence in America is like 1,500 per year or something like that. So that was if it's true, if it's a funny comparison.
Right? Yeah. It is. It's like, oh yeah. Well, how hot is it? I don't know. How many gun deaths are there in America this year? It's like, you know, but yeah, no, it's true. Like when we went to Europe, a buddy of mine was like, dude, you need to watch out when you're over there. There's this massive heat wave.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, dude, I got it, man. I'm from Austin. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
No, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, because there's not as much AC. Here, it's nice when you walk in, when you're outside under the blazing sun and you walk in and you feel that cold air. It's like, yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind paying $14 for a coffee.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Do y'all have Starbucks down there too?
We do. And it's funny because... So Starbucks came to Argentina maybe like 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And so the Argentinian culture at that time was more like you only drank coffee if you were sitting down, you know? There was no such thing of like walking around with a cup, you know?
Right.
And so a lot of people, when Starbucks came, they were like, first of all these frappuccinos, like nobody's gonna like that. We just like a regular coffee with a bit of milk. That's it.
Yeah.
And nobody like a coffee in Argentina is just like you sit down at a table. You know, there's like nobody's gonna walk around with a cup. And they were wrong because it's full of Starbucks now, and it's really changed the whole way that people drink because people now do walk around with cups.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, that's what I loved about going to like Italy or Spain or something like that, was actually sitting down at a cafe and like sitting down and just having a cup of coffee.
Right.
I loved that.
Yeah.
And then you come back here and, you know, you saw my surrounding area. You come back here and all we have is like, there's a Starbucks, but you don't want to go sit outside.
Yeah.
You know, for one, it's over 100. For two, you will be accosted by like 600 freaking homeless people asking for your Starbucks. You know, one of them might try to give you a dead cat or something.
I know. Well, I miss my cat, so maybe I'll take I have a cat back home, but I don't know if I'll take a dead cat. I was thinking I'll go into a cat lounge one of these days.
They have a cat lounge?
Yeah, there's a few cat lounges.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a few cat lounges.
I need to get out of my AC more.
I know. But you're more of a dog person, I think, no?
Yeah. Man, cats, for some reason, like, me and cats just don't get along.
Yeah.
I've never met a cat who was like, that dude's cool.
Right.
You know?
Right. I think the main difference is that a lot of people who don't like cats, I mean, I like dogs as well, but a lot of people that don't like cats, they expect, because they like dogs, they expect cats to act the same way as dogs. In the sense of like, you just get there and they start waggling their tail and they, you know, they lick you or whatever. And cats are not like that. Cats, you have to develop a relationship with them. If they don't know you, they're not going to care about you.
No.
If it's the first time they see you, they're going to be a little like, who is this guy? And that same thing happened to me. I was not a cat guy. But then a friend of mine adopted a cat. I started to get along with that cat and see how like deep they are and how emotional they are.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You just have to develop a relationship with them. It's not like you get home and even if they don't know you, they're like, you're the greatest guy ever, like dogs do. You know, that's not the case.
I've never heard it put like that.
Yeah.
Of course, it actually kind of makes sense in a way. Like I heard something in comparison where somebody was like telling me about just people in general. And how some people out there, they'll give you trust right off the bat, but then they have some people where you have to like earn their trust.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. That's what it kind of sounds like, the difference between like dog and cat people.
Exactly.
Right now, I'm not a dog person because they're not going to be able to hear this, but they're going crazy right now.
I think they know you're talking about them. Or are they like, you saying you like cats? Excuse me?
Well, hold on one second.
Excuse me?
Yeah, let me mess with you some more. I've had to do this so many times with the dogs because they just like, they get crazy sometimes. And I guarantee it's just one little squirrel just sitting there, just like eating a sunflower seed, just watching them, and they freak out like crazy. But what kind of cat do you have?
So my cat is actually from Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
So he's not like any specific breed, but so I told you that I stayed on board for a long time when the COVID was happening. After I was able to disembark, the only country that would accept me at the time was either Argentina, and I didn't want to go back to Argentina for a number of reasons, mostly because I had a girlfriend at that time who was Ukrainian. And so she had to go back to Ukraine. I went 3 weeks to Italy. Then I went 3 weeks to the UK, then I went 3 weeks to Italy, and then I went 4 months to Ukraine. And so the first 3 months, we traveled around with my girlfriend's cat. So we were traveling around with one cat. And when it was like 1 month away from leaving, I saw what is now my cat. And I kind of fell in love with him and I adopted him.
There you go. Yeah. Man. Yeah. So I got like this shepherd, like, right? Like there's a shepherd and he's a big one. And I have this little one, we call him Gumbo. Do you know what Gumbo is?
No. Oh, the soup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we call him Gumbo, and Gumbo he's just like this little tiny, like little yellow dog or whatever. He's a French bulldog and a Shih Tzu mix. So we call him the bullshit.
Okay.
You know, and he's such a little turd, dude. Like, you know what I mean? He's just such a little turd. But now I'm wondering, I'm like, man, if I got a cat, like what would that cat be like?
Yeah, and also it's not the same to grow around dogs. You know, one thing is to have a cat, just you and him.
Right.
Or another thing is to have two cats. A lot of people say that it's good to adopt two cats at the same time so that when you're gone, they can entertain each other and they can do company with each other.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not the same. Like one time I lived in a house where there were 7 dogs and they adopted a cat. And it's crazy because the cat, like you could tell that he was raised by dogs just because of the way he acted, you know, like some like positions he took, and also like the dogs would play with him, and like he was like this big, it was like nothing, and there were like some of the dogs would like like take him from his neck here with their jaws and like kind of like toss him around. And he would play like that, or like there was like a giant dog who maybe was like 60 pounds, and this like little furball who was like maybe 4 pounds, and he was like playing like that with the dog, and yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Like a cat who acted like a dog?
Yeah, pretty much.
That is nuts. That is nuts. See, that's another thing that always like trips me out. Like, is when animals are like raised around each other and everything. I've been watching a lot of stuff, and my like lately has been I watched one video about a skunk on my Instagram, and so now my Instagram is just people with pet skunks, and now I just, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people like when I see something like that, I'm like, dude, I want to get a skunk,
right.
You know, I'm like. Man, I used to have like snakes and everything. Did you have a ton of animals or anything like that growing up?
No, my parents are people who are really obsessed with hygiene and with making sure everything is perfectly clean and white. You know, like we had a place in my former house that I called a museum because it was like a white couch with like white drapes, and you could not do anything there. I mean, It was only for company, and it was like really, like special. Wow. And yeah, so like my whole life, my parents would like really hate the idea of having a pet who would like
just cause any mess
any mess, or like put his paws with the dirt or whatever on something that was clean. So yeah.
Are you kind of the same way? Did you kind of pick that stuff up in your own house? Do you have like areas that you're like, no, this has got to stay super, super clean?
No, I'm not like that. I mean, obviously I like to be clean, but I'm not obsessed with it. I don't like cleaning myself. No, I don't like cleaning. I don't like cleaning the house, like doing that myself.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not that obsessed. I let my cat wherever he wants. Obviously, like.
Man, like you have a litter box?
I live in a place where, I mean, I do have one, but I live in a place where he has access to a garden, and he usually does everything outside.
That's why I think that's why I was asking, because I thought you said like, yeah, just let him go anywhere, and so I was like, for some reason I was like, well, you let him use the restroom anywhere?
Pretty much. I mean, it's really nice because a lot of people say like cats should be indoors all the time. That's not true at all. I mean, you can see how much they enjoy rolling around in the grass and being even the dirt, like the soil on their fur is very good for like pushing out bacteria and that kind of thing. They definitely enjoy more pooping and peeing in the soil than in a litter box. So you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is something about yourself that you feel if people knew about this, they would be like pleasantly surprised to find out about you?
Pleasantly surprised. I don't know if pleasantly surprised, but like I have other hobbies besides comedy. I like DJing. I like electronic music, so I like DJing. I like scuba diving. Obviously, I love traveling as well. Hanging out with my friends. I like going to raves sometimes.
You do open water scuba? Scuba diving? Out in the ocean, I mean?
Yeah, in the ocean. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's great. I've only really ever like scuba dived in like fresh water, really. Right. But man, I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, have you ever seen like any crazy sharks or anything out there? Like
sharks, I don't think so, but I've seen a lot of different animals like eels, for example, or like different sorts of lobsters and crabs. Like different funny looking fish. One time I saw a plane that was like underneath the water, like resting on the seabed, and it was kind of like a movie because I went in through the window and I went out through the front windshield because it was all broken, obviously. So yeah, it was amazing.
What depth was that?
I think the maximum I can do is like 40 feet or something like that, or 50 feet, something like that. I think that's the maximum I can do.
I think that one's the same. I think I literally have like the same certification because I think, but there's this park in Virginia where I got my scuba certification at, and it was an old quarry, and it was really deep. I think it got like 80 feet or something like that. So only certain divers would be allowed to go in the middle portion. But they made it like a park. So underneath there was like. There was cars you can get into, and there was helicopters you can go like dive into, and planes is on the deeper end and everything. But I love diving, dude. It's like I feel like it's the closest thing to being like an astronaut.
For sure, it's crazy. You don't realize how much you're not supposed to be there until you're there.
Yeah,
because you're under there and you're like, if something goes wrong with my tank, it's over. Like, and even if I need to go up to the surface in 1 second, like that's gonna fuck me up because you have the bend, so you can't like change the pressure just like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy when you're down there. You're like, when you hear all this, like in your ears, it's kind of like it's literally another world. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you have to like equalize, like when you're going down, you can't even go down too fast.
No.
You got to like, everything is like in time until you get set, and then you can just coast for a while.
Right.
And just feeling the feeling of being weightless, and then realizing that fish actually have like personalities. Like that kind of throws me off. Like just seeing like some fish will be like really good and come up to you and they're curious, and the other fish are like, oh no, fuck that dude. Like, I don't want to have nothing to do with that dude. But I've never been in the ocean before. So seeing eels, that must have been pretty nuts, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've been very fortunate. I've done it in Jamaica, in Hawaii, in Italy, in California. So yeah, many different places.
And when I was in Hawaii and I was kind of snorkeling, I saw a sea turtle once, but I saw the shadow first, and I thought it was a shark. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be dead soon. This is crazy. But so, what are your man? You're traveling around, you're doing all your comedy and everything like that. What are your goals, man? Like, where do you see yourself later on?
Depends how far away we're talking. If we're talking about like really far away goals and kind of like shooting for the moon, it would be amazing to be the first Argentine comedian on a talk show, on a late night show, like a Jimmy Fallon, that one.
Oh, dude, I could see you doing that.
That could be like being the first Argentine. That could be cool. But again, we're talking maybe 10 years from now. On the shorter term, honestly, I've learned a lot while being here. I've improved a lot in English, and now I think a lot of those learnings will go back to Argentina. Like I said, it's very like one of the things that kind of distinguishes me here is that I'm from Argentina, so I kind of like build everything around it, and like my first joke is I'm from Argentina, and I say something about that, but it's like I build my character around that. Whereas in Argentina, I'm still finding that. So now that I go back with everything that I've learned here, I think it's going to be good. But yeah, I'm already working in some comedy clubs in Argentina. I think I'm going to do the same experience next year of coming, I don't know if here to Austin or to New York, and hopefully be able to start a little bit like higher on the like priority list of comedians, in the sense that when I got here, obviously nobody knew me. I had not a lot of material in English, and I had almost no videos in English, and so it's a lot of open mics. And little by little, since I've been here, I've done some spots at a couple clubs that I've done well. So yeah, fortunately, just build on that and continue growing and continue networking. Yeah, it's an endless process,
Yeah, it really is. It doesn't ever stop.
No,
it's not always like it's not always just the microphone and the stage. It's like there's so much more to it, and it never stops.
No,
but that's what I love about it. You know, I love the constant like kind of the learning and the practice and the the evolution of it, and getting to know people, who they are, like personally and comedically.
For sure.
I think that, man, I think if you ever end up like back in New York, like you were saying, if you and Marcus Monroe like did like a dual thing, that would be.
I don't think he likes me very much, to be honest.
What?
Yeah. So, we can talk more in depth about it, but, so when I did my second video, he comments on my video and he writes "not cool," and I've never talked to him, seen him. We don't have people in common. I thought, then I realized we do have somebody in common. That's how I think he saw the videos. And so I talked to him and I'm like, hey, like I saw that you put this. I understand like this, like the idea is yours, but at the same time, like I'm doing something completely different. Like they're all different jokes, and I'm doing it in Argentina. And at the end of the day, like it's a premise, in a way. Like it's a character doing stand up on the subway, and then what you're telling me, you're the only person in the world that can do it until when? Until you die, or 10 years after you. Like what's the deal? And he's like, well, yeah, like it's my story, it's my idea, and blah, blah, blah. Like you shouldn't do that. And at first, I thought about not doing it, and I talked with a lot of people about this, because honestly, it's a very like interesting discussion, like is it okay or is it not okay to like grab an idea like that and make it your own,
Yeah.
And I talked to a lot of people, and honestly, after a lot of discussion with a lot of people, and also a lot of people that had discussions with other, like sometimes I would get to conversations and people would be talking about that because it's a very interesting discussion. I realized that I think it's okay to do it. If you want, we can delve deeper into the reasons. But I mean, basically, first of all, like I said, it's basically a premise, like a character doing stand-up on the subway. And it's the same way that you can take a premise that somebody else said, or like a similar take on somebody else. And what matters is not the premise, but the jokes, what you do with it, Obviously, all the jokes are different. Also, what happens if, like he does it in a certain way, I can't advance it in other ways. Like I can't put my own, like imprint. I don't know how you say it in English, like my own like style into it. If you look at the videos, you'll see like they're not the same, they're very different. So yeah, and also like technically, what if, he films in a certain way and I think it's better to film in another way and I do it different, like I can't do it, just because he did it. And again, it's different jokes, different languages, different audiences. So I don't know. I feel comfortable doing it, and that's why I said I don't think he'd be very happy running into me.
Yeah, here I guess here from what it's like I don't know how it is in Argentina. I guess people like are very huge on like they don't want anybody like ripping off like anything that they do, and there's a ton of different like words for it and stuff like that. Like people have like cryptomnesia, like saying a joke but not remembering that somebody else said the joke and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I guess like the big thing is like if we were to dive into it a little bit, like what it separates you, what is different from like the way that you present it. Like I know that you said that you tell different jokes than like Marcus Monroe, but like I guess like how video wise, like how are you different than him?
Right. So Marcus Monroe films horizontal, and then like films the whole. Well, first of all, he doesn't stand in the middle of people. Basically, he stands like in the space where the door is. I stand like next to the people. Like I have a row of people, like 5-6 people to each side.
Yeah.
And that makes the experience and the performance way different, because it feels like you're kind of like you're more trapped in the situation, like you're right next to them and then you're looking at them. It's not like you're talking to the camera and there's like people behind you. It's like, oh, who is that guy? It's not like that. So that's one big difference. And like I said, he films horizontal and then zooms in on the people. Whereas I have a friend and he films vertical and then he like does manual zoom ins. And my videos are more like, I feel like there's a better flow to them, in my opinion, of like how like no laughing, laugh, a bit of laugh, that kind of thing. And my reactions are also some funny reactions, whereas 99% of his reactions are no reaction or no laughter, in his videos. But I'm not saying that because he doesn't create the laughter. That's what he decides to show. I don't know if he shows it or not.
It sort of seems like that's what the intention is behind it,
But yeah, I just like showing that. And yeah, there's like a few things that I think I've developed that are my own style, like I don't know, at the end I make a lot of jokes at the end of like related to the subway. For example, when I was the Pharaoh, I was like, well, I gotta go. Do you know if the subway goes in that direction or that direction? Like because the Egyptians used to do. That's one example. There's a million of those. Like they're all different and different characters, And then I have a thing where like at the end I'm like waiting, and I'm like, okay. And then, but it's like tiny little things that make up the style, and a lot of people do recognize you for that. They tell me, oh, I like it when you do the okay at the end, So again, we all have our different styles, and I don't see anything wrong with that. And even if somebody who doesn't know Marcus Monroe and sees me doing it and wants to try it themselves, at the end of the day, like it's not about who was there first. It's about like who does the better content. Like imagine if Kill Tony had started and somebody says, okay, I'm gonna create a better show, and instead of like doing it now, 10 years ago, he does a live band and he does like better quality, blah, blah, blah. Probably people would have followed the other guy and not Tony Hinchcliffe because he had a better product out, So again, it's not about who was there first. It's about who puts out the better content. And again, we're not even competing in the same market because, he's in New York speaking in English and I'm in Argentina speaking in Spanish. So
yeah. So you're trying to put, I guess, like ultimately be like better, or is it just that you're just trying to be like another version entirely?
Yeah, I mean, another version. I mean, and that's one of the things that I said to him. I said, like, part of the path is also like starting with something you like and then developing it and making it your own, just like anything. I mean, and it's nothing weird like that. We do that all the time. Like, there's so many TV shows, like Big Brother or like Married with Children, or like that they were inspired in some. I don't know if you know, for example, Between Two Ferns, for example. There's an Argentinian version that it's called Between Two Succulents, for example, and it's similar in some ways, but it's also not. Like you can see the differences. Like it's the same in the sense that it's like a shitty interview with a famous person, but there's a lot of differences. So again, I don't see anything wrong with taking something that you like and then making it your own. Like I think that's creativity. Yeah.
It's it's funny because it's a slippery slope. It's kind of like it's one of those things that like here I know that excuse me. Here I know that we're like very, very sensitive to, because everyone's extremely protective of their material here. And but at the same time it's kind of like I do understand what you're saying, because even like my podcast, like I had inspirations, but I'm not like necessarily trying to look or sound or be anybody else.
Yeah.
But it's like even that is like, well, it's just going to be similar,
right?
Because somebody's going to do it.
And again, I see it as a premise. If we look in stand-up, how many people have similar premises, differences between black people and white people, differences between cats and dogs. I don't know, like I could go on, like things that happen with your wife or your girlfriend. Like, again, it's not about the premise, it's what you do with it. And everybody has a different style, different jokes, different way of telling those jokes. And I think that's what matters.
Yeah. And I think as long as it's like as long as it's like not a complete and utter like rip off, and that's like really a thing. Cause I see some people, they have like the kind of brick background too. And I've even thought about changing my brick background and stuff just because they have it.
Right.
And I was like, well, I just needed something that looked better. Or like just for me, I just, than a white wall.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's like, so yeah, there's things, but I don't feel like I'm personally ripping somebody off because I'm using a brick background. Right. I kind of feel it's like, well, it's just, it's mine, but it's different. You know?
And also you have to think about what I said, like making it your own. There's also a lot of regional adaptations that just because he did that in a subway in New York, I can do it. Like if I dress up as a gaucho, for example, like Argentinian gaucho, which are like our cowboys, or I dressed up as like the World Cup, or like things that you would never do because they're not normal in the US. It's not okay. Like because he did that in New York, no, that's it. Nobody else in the world, in the entire planet can do it. I don't know. I think that's not really how it works.
Yeah, like I said, if it was like 100% like rip off, then that would be different. But if you go anywhere, you could see tropes and things that are inspired by other people, So it's like, but I get it. I still think it was funny, And I thought your stuff was funny, and once I had it translated, I thought it was funny. But I thought he was funny too. But I could see like similarities, but I can also see differences. Yeah. And stuff, but yeah, dude, we're pretty much wrapping it up, man. Is there anything that you want to put out? Any shows or anything going on?
Well, shows in Austin. I'm leaving in 2 days. And by the time this gets put up, I think I'll be gone. But yeah, you can follow me on social media in Spanish. I have 2 accounts, one in English, one in Spanish, in pretty much every social media. In Spanish, it's Soy Kevin Gans. Soy like soy sauce, but in Argentina, soy means I am. So Soy Kevin Gans, Gans. And then in Spanish, it's the same, but in English. So I am Kevin Gans.
Awesome, man. Hell yeah, dude. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This has been really awesome. It's been really cool having like somebody, just who has a different perspective.
Yeah, it's really, I love talking about comedy and I love traveling. I love talking about the differences culturally and comedically in different parts of the world. So this was very interesting. Thank you.
Man, this is awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. And I guess, that's it. We'll call it at that, man. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. That's a wrap. So tune in next week. Adios.